that is literally the biggest thing I learned this year. I never enjoyed competing until this year.
Yeah.
Okay, and you have to enjoy the process. You have to enjoy what's going on to be successful. You can tell my heart wasn't in it when I would pose. I was just doing it because people said you can do well at it.
You know, lately in a lot of discussion, I feel like, you know, especially when people come to destination and they are beginners in the fitness, and they are so used to people, you know, taking responsibility from them. No, it's all on you. If you're gonna make a life-changing stuff, it's all on you.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, having no excuses. The responsibility is on you to improve or to deal with your life, you know.
You have to have a marketable attitude, face, right? If they give you the title of Mr. Olympia, they gotta believe that you're gonna represent their organization well. Doesn't matter how great you look, right? They have to believe in you outside of just competing. And initially in the past, I was, you know, I was very big on winning, and if the outcome wasn't what I thought it should be, right? You saw my attitude.
All the defeats we have in life, they are there to teach us something that, because without them we can never be champions. You need to be battle tested and see how we can manage defeat in order to be a true champion.
Facts.
You know, tell me a little bit about what's your background, like how did you get into the whole fitness, and then, you know, like your life philosophy and everything.
Fitness, it's funny, it kind of started at about the age of 8. It was a show called In the House with LL Cool J. I don't know if you know who he is, bald guy. He's an actor, he used to be a rapper.
Yeah.
Really popular guy.
With a pant leg like this?
Yep. Listen, I got all of that. Like, I used to like rock my pants leg halfway up when I was young, and I truly contribute that interest starting from him, right? Because he was in a television show, and in the television show, you know, he was this attractive guy who was really into lifting weights. Right?
Did you see him in real life, or did you see him on TV?
I never met him on TV.
Okay.
Yep, TV. So, you know, I saw him training, and at a very young age, I liked the way he looked. You know, so I just started from the age of 8 to 17 calisthenics. Right? I got my first membership when I was about 17. I was in Atlanta, Georgia. My uncle wanted me and my brother to come to Atlanta, Georgia. So we are originally from Baltimore, Maryland. We went to Atlanta, Georgia for about 2 months, right? And we got our first membership down there, and that was at a gym called Bally's. And since then, I have never stopped training, other than vacation. A little bit about my background as about sports, right? I got my first membership when I was 17 in the gym. When I came back, I went to a high school called Northwestern, and they actually just got a little mini, nothing too crazy, but you know, a bench, squat, a squat rack, things like that. So we started training at least once a day with the football team. But when I was in high school, I played football, right? My first year, I was on JV, and I ran a reverse. I fractured my knee, right? So I didn't play that season, right? I ended up playing basketball that year, right? I was on JV, and then the following year, I went to varsity, both football, basketball, and I also played lacrosse, right? So I was All-American in lacrosse. I played 3 years. I was All-State in football. So I ended up becoming a correctional officer, right? I did that from 19 to 23, right? But within that time frame, I started playing semi-pro football, right? I played that for 3 years. Had an amazing career doing that. I played corner, super athletic, fast position. And I was about 210 pounds then, all muscle. Like, you would have never thought I was cornerback, right? But I was very fast, very athletic, very quick. So then I decided to go to Morgan State University, right? Initially when I went to pursue, you know, hoping to play for like a year, right? And then getting the opportunity to walk onto an NFL team. But I also took up a study in electrical engineering, right? So I played Morgan State football right? I end up doing something stupid, and this is how bodybuilding came.
Yeah.
I end up doing something stupid, and I walked onto Morgan State University football team. Crazy tryout. It was maybe 2 weeks in. My brother called me and told me that he got a motorcycle off of Craigslist. Right? I see his motorcycle. I like it. I say, I want one too. Right? I go buy one. Mind you, I just walked onto this college football team. I mean, I had a amazing opportunity to start safety.
Yeah.
Like, it was a good chance I was going to start that year.
Yeah.
And after football practice, my brother said, I just been attempting to learn how to pop a wheelie.
Yeah.
So I say, how do you do it? Right? Typically, I'm a pretty smart guy, right? But I was really good at.
I can see where this is going.
Yeah, I was really good at popping wheelies on like bicycles.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
growing up, I was like really good at it. You know, so I'm like, it can't be much different.
No,
right?
how can it be?
So
That's what I said to myself many times.
yep. So we in the parking lot, and he taught me how to do it. Right, give us some glad. It was a 600. So 600s don't have as much power as some of the bigger bikes, so you have to pop the clutch. So I held the clutch in, gave it some gas, didn't come up. Gave it more gas, it came up. Came straight up. And my brother was so ecstatic, he thought I had it.
Yeah.
And I'm going crazy. Like, how do you get it back down? So I didn't ask how to get it back down. Okay. So the bike take off.
That's on the next lesson.
Yeah. Take off. Right. And it was some parked cars coming up. I jumped off. Tore my ACL. Right. So that was how I stopped playing football. And then I started going to this gym called Gold's Gym in Glen Burnie. And a lot of the guys there, similar here, a lot of the guys there train to compete. And they saw my look and they were like, you would do extremely well in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
You know, so I considered it. And then I saw the attire that I had to wear. I said, there's no way I'm getting on stage with those, with the little teeny. I was like, yeah, that's not happening. Right? So it took me about 8 months to be comfortable with wearing the bodybuilding trunks on stage. I did it. I was successful at it. I won novice, I won overall. My first show was 2 shows in one. It's weird. It's called the East Coast Classic in the Maryland. Right? So it's supposed to be based off of what.
How old were you?
I was probably 25, 24, 24, I think. Right? And the way that it was supposed to work was that you can only register based off of the city you stay in. I ended up registering both of them, they messed up, right? So I won the Maryland, no, I won the East Coast and won overall, novice and also open, right? And then I came in second to a guy named Chaz in open for the Maryland. I qualified for nationals, right? At first I was ecstatic. I did my research. I went to YouTube. I saw how big the bodybuilders was on the national level, and I said, it is no chance that I'm ready for that. I'm nowhere near as big. You know, I had a great shape, a great structure, you know, and I had no aspirations of wanting to be that big, so I stopped competing. Stopped competing for 2 years, said I don't want to be a bodybuilder. Then they came out with Classic Physique. And when they came out with Classic Physique, I said, that's my division, right? So it's funny because I went to the NPC posing clinic, and the judges that was hosting the event told me that I reminded Makai Green and I was way too muscular for Classic. And this was the first year that I seen Breonna Arlem at the Olympia. And I was like, no, I'm not. I seen these guys. Like, I can compete with these guys. And the judge was like, that's the point, Devon. If you were amateur and you already look like you can compete with the pros, you're too big, right? And I was like, but if I make weight, what's the problem? So long story short, the judges told me, I'm telling you, you're not gonna do well, you're too muscular. I didn't listen to it, right? Someone told me, someone that I knew from the gym named Hannah, she told me that the first year that Classic came out, you did not have to qualify. Usually, like, you know, like usually you top 5, top 2, you qualify for nationals. She told me the first year you had to qualify. So apparently, this false information was given to a lot of athletes, right? So a week before Miami, I called the promoter to make sure they had all my information, and they said, we have everything, but what show did you do to qualify? I was like, what? Now, mind you, I'm prepping now 4 months. I went from, I was already fairly lean, so it was very difficult for me to get under 195. I was doing 2 hours of cardio. So when I heard this, I was like, qualify? Someone that works for you guys told me I didn't have to qualify. And she said, oh my God, like, you are not the first person to call about this. Apparently they've been telling everybody that it's false. So they say it's one show before Miami Nationals, and I'm telling everybody to go to that show. It was the, what was it? It was a show in Virginia, right? Can't think of the name of it right now, right? It was a show in Virginia. I went there, and you're not gonna believe this. So usually, from my experience, if you're in the middle, you're first. Okay, if it's 5 people in first call out, you're in the middle, you're usually first, right? Second, like if you're on the left or the right, you're second or third, right? They kept me to the far right the entire prejudging. I'm pissed. I'm mad. I'm like, they told me they were gonna do this to me, and they did it, right? So I'm backstage, and the judge come backstage and said, I was told that you're disappointed. I was told that you were upset. I said, I'm very upset. I came down, I made weight, and I looked great. I should be rewarded for how great I look, right? And he was like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, you won. I was like, huh? I said, but I wasn't in the middle. He's like, dude, it's very rare that we do that, but coming out, we saw you as the clear winner. Yes, we only put people in the middle to compare. There was no need to compare you. It wasn't close with no one, all right? I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I apologize, right? So then he was like, I hope that you're going to Miami next week for Nationals. I said, that's the reason why I'm here. He said, I don't ever say this. Ever say this. He said, I haven't seen anyone this condition in almost 10 years. He said, I'm guaranteeing you, you're going to win. And I went to Miami and took first.
I see. So what do you feel like, you know, how is your training philosophy?
I believe in focusing on your weaker body parts, right? So my quads was mine. So for the last, I'm gonna say 6 months, I've been training quads every 3 days. And if I showed you the difference, the transformation in my quads, you wouldn't believe it, right? Now, a lot of people think that that's too frequent, right? Because one of the most important things is rest, you know, but everybody's different. So I think definitely the first 3 weeks to a month, you're gonna always feel sore, but your body adjusts to it. So now my body, I don't feel that typical soreness after about 2 days, you know? And like I said, clearly from my last show, right, what I was doing worked.
Okay, so that type of frequency is working for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as far as everything else, I train it at least once a week, but I train on how I feel. Yeah. I don't come in here.
Is it high intensity, or is it kind of like, or is it more controlled and you know, a little bit slow?
Very. So everything that I do is slow. Everything I do is slow. I tell a lot of people, now going back to genetics, I tell people, I have trained people who have been training for 20 years, right? And they get with me for 2 months and be like, dude, I never saw this separation or these cuts within this body part, right? And majority of the time is because people just push weight. You know, Kai Green is the best example, right? He'll take a 35-pound, you look at his biceps, they're huge, and he'll take a 35-pound and just curl it and just contract, right? So everything that I do is slow and contraction, everything I do. I always tell people, until you get a foundation, I mean very detailed foundation, I believe that repetition matters. And then I believe once you plateau, you have to push that muscle group to grow. And then I get into maybe repetition 15 to 20. When I want to grow, maybe 6 to 8.
So with all this, what kind of adversity or challenges have you had when you, because it's not always sunshine and everything is going easy and smooth. What do you feel like you've been, what do you need to work with the most?
So for me, I would say the biggest challenge is not being consistent on my diet. And when I say consistent, I don't eat bad. I'm not so I'm not a foodie. I don't crave food a lot, which is very difficult for me in prep also, because you know, a lot of people are constantly hungry in prep and they can get their meals down. For me, I'm not, so I'm forcing myself to eat all the time, right? But then, so for example, I grow in the prep. I mean, literally, like, I started the last prep at 222, right? Usually you want to be a lot heavier than your max. My max is 222. I started prep at 222, right? I went up about 15 pounds. I gained at least 10 pounds of muscle, and I was on stage, dry pilled at about 226. Now the reason why that happens with me is because my diet, right? I go from eating 6 to 7 meals when I'm prepping for a show, but I'm forcing myself to immediately after a show, when I'm done a show, every time it never fails, I go back to eating 3 meals a day, right? George Peterson is a perfect example, right? I talked to this coach, Justin Miller, right? He been eating 6 to 7 meals consistently for 3 years, you know, and people wonder why did he grow? Because the dude eat, like you gotta eat. And I think that that's the most important part, whether it's gaining or whether it's cutting, mentally being prepared and capable, you know, to complete that diet. Like it's difficult. Like to me, that's the hardest part. Training is the easy part.
No, I agree. I mean, like that's usually how I judge people's character. You know, like you can see, like, you know, people who actually do a show, you know, it's very, they got good character. And then, of course, you take it, you know, on your level to the next, you know, you do it regardless if it's in prep or if it's off season or whatever. Like, you know, that's really what.
And I play a lot of sports, and this is by far the most difficult sport there is, because if you want to be successful at it, there is no off season. When people use this word off season, like, dude, there's no such thing, right? If you're a true bodybuilder, it ain't an off season, right? It's a building season. You know, like. If you want to be successful, right, it's not about what you do during prep. Your off season is going to be the most essential for your success, you know, and you just got to put that time in, you know, and like I said, we all go through things, you know, life is never perfect, you know, and a lot of people really mess up on their diet when they're going through things. They use the excuse of, you know, life is rough, that's stressful, you know, so they get off that diet, they eat whatever they want to eat, or they don't eat enough, right? You got to have that mentality. You got to have that mentality if you want to be successful all year round, bodybuilding.
Do you have any excuses that you're fighting with?
No. In the past, I have used some. For example, my 2016 season, it's a true thing about being burnt out, right? I did nationals, and then I did 4 bodybuilding shows, and they wasn't close. Like I was trying to qualify for Olympia, and I went off of points, and that was probably the most difficult, because at some point you need a break, mentally, your body, everything, you need a break. And I'm in the gym 3 hours a day that year for probably 8 months. You know, so that was definitely the most difficult area of my bodybuilding career, right? And now I understand the mental health behind bodybuilding, right? For you to be successful, you have to be mentally there first. You know, in order to really have a great prep, right? Now, if things occur during your prep, you have to be now strong enough, right, to overcome that thing and not allow that to affect what you're trying to do, your end goal of being successful. You know, like I said, I'm going through something right now, and, you know, to a lot of people, it could break them, you know, but I'm like, it's not gonna break me, right? I'm definitely very focused on bringing my best to the Olympia this year.
That's good. How do you feel like, you know, I feel like those who are very successful, they have a very sharp mind on the goal, you know, focused, but they also have a good peripheral view. You know, like you know, taking help by the surrounding and you know, seeing the surrounding as a part of their success. How do you feel on that? Has that been easy for you, or has that been hard?
So it have definitely not have been easy for me so far.
And why is that, do you think?
The people that I think it's easy for are people that are very popular and famous on social media. Those people typically have a lot of people that is around them, that's helping them to create the final package, right? Someone like me, I prepped myself all my shows. You know, I never had any assistance, right? So I don't have any experience by having people around me, right, to help me in that area. You know, but
have you seen that as a weakness, or something that you just have as a part of your circumstances, and it's just the way it is?
So yes and no. A big part of me did not want to obtain a coach because I see it all the time, right? A big part of me did not want to obtain a coach because I felt like that coach was going to try to sell me as a marketing scheme, that he created this, that he got me here, that he did this, when I know I had many years of hard work long before you came into my life, right? So the yes to no part is my last show. I finally said, my mom, after my last show, I took second in Tampa. My mom said, son, you came a long way on your own. Do you think it's finally time for you to add somebody to your box of tools to assist you? And I was like, you right, Ma. So I decided to start working with someone, right? And I definitely see and now understand how beneficial and important it is to have others in your corner, because that was by far the best package that I brought to the stage. You know, so I could be a lot further or better within my career, and maybe I did that sooner. You know, and I tell people, right, you may can do it on your own, you know, but I definitely think by having some type of assistance, you know, people that are more knowledgeable about supplementation, diet than you, it can only benefit you, you know. And there's a lot of people like me who's stubborn and didn't want that assistance, but I can say that it helped, which I think I'm gonna, like, it was things I just figured out recently that I can't believe I've been doing wrong all this time. You know what I mean? So it definitely helps.
I think that's a good learning lesson, you know, and also maybe also beyond the coach stuff, there is so much more to support package. Maybe like you know, when it you know, because in the 90s the bodybuilders could focus only on themselves and the goal wholeheartedly, and they could just shoot for that show and at number one. But nowadays it feels a little bit like, you know, we need to have good relationships around us in a bigger sense, you know, because the whole society is on social media, and it can help or break something, or and it's kind of like I think it's an important part to have, and can help us mentally also.
I understand the importance of it now, which is why now, you know, I know outside of just competing, you have to market yourself well on certain platforms.
I think it's always been a little bit true, but now it's less gatekeepers. In the old days, you had gatekeepers with the magazines and with the big corporations. Now everybody has the opportunity to market themselves through social media. So it's actually creating more opportunities, and you don't even need to win that prestigious title and still be, you know, way successful than some of them who's trying, you know.
Right. Prime example, Kai Green. Kai Green's making more money now without competing because of social media. You know, which is the reason for why he probably haven't came back. You know, so it's definitely important, and you got to understand, you have to have a marketable attitude, face, right? If they give you the title of Mr. Olympia, okay, right? They got to believe that you're going to represent their organization well. It doesn't matter how great you look, right? They have to believe in you outside of just competing. You know, so you got to play the game well.
Exactly. That's good. I think so, and also I think it is a win-win with our life in general, because I feel like life is a little bit like a journey, you know, and we're creating amazing memories, and there is no point burying our head into, you know, just hard work in the gym and be, you know, not so happy fellow. And then just shooting towards that goal and not get the good journey, you know. I think, and if we are happy and we are, you know, bringing our surrounding with us, regardless if it's social media or in real life, you know, I think we benefit from that a lot, and creating good memories together with others.
That's well said. And honestly, that is literally the biggest thing I learned this year. I never enjoyed competing until this year. Okay, and you have to enjoy the process. You have to enjoy what's going on to be successful. You know, you can tell my heart wasn't in it when I would pose. I was just doing it because people said you can do well at it. You know.
But I could, you know, when I first met you, at Destination the first time, I could see where this discussion would end. You know, like with this talk and with this, you know, conclusion of what's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I've seen you develop during your time here at Destination in this direction.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something, you know, you should be glad over. I'm glad over it, and I think it's going to benefit you a lot.
Absolutely. I sometimes look non-approachable. People tell me very intimidating. And just who I am. Like even my last show, for example, I got a lot of feedback. Smile, smile, smile. You know, and if you saw my baby pics when I was like 3, 4, my mom cannot find one picture where I was smiling.
Okay.
That's just like I've always been that way, you know. And now I'm working on more of like smiling and looking more approachable. But like I said, like you have to. So for example, I had some situations in the past, right, where I didn't like certain placements. And now I realize that I no longer do it for the placement. Okay, I do it to literally bring the best me that I can bring. Okay, and initially in the past, I was, you know, I was very big on winning, and if the outcome wasn't what I thought it should be, right, you saw my attitude, you know, and it's not fair to the athletes, it's not fair to anyone. So I realized that if I compete again, I gotta do it for me. You know, I know a few people this year was like, so well, how do you feel about the Olympia? I said, to me, a win is top 5, and some people was like, what do you mean not first? Dude, like I'm doing this. If I place top 5, that means I bring the best me this year, and I can only get better. You know, so I'm a realist. I don't expect to go from 16th to 1st. You know what I mean?
No, and I think that was you know, very good that you mentioned that, and I think also like all the defeats we have in life in various ways and places, they are there to teach us something that because without them we can never be champions. There is no champion. You can't have something in common with someone. If you're a champion and you go through hell and high water and you become a champion, you can't have something in common with another champion who doesn't have that, you know. So you need to be battle tested and see how we can manage defeat in order to be a true champion.
Facts. Yeah, I think our last show with me and Tony was the best experience I had. You know, me and him are very competitive, but it was professional. Right, we both was talking a little smack. Right, on social media, but it was professional. When we seen each other here, when we seen each other at the show, it was all love, right? And you know, Tony was disappointed because he's an athlete and he's, you know, competitive, right? But he was still very professional. We all was, you know, so it was definitely a good experience. But like I said, it was an even better experience because the outcome doesn't matter as much to me anymore. Just bringing the best that I can be.
Exactly. And I think when we had a similar discussion and talking with Branch and Lila Brad and other champions, one common denominator is that they are usually in an environment where there is a lot of other high-level pros that went before them. You know. So Ronnie Coleman at Metroflex, Arlington, and Branch growing up in that environment make it easier for him to see like, oh, I want to beat that, or I want to reach that goal, or you know, it can be done, you know.
Right. I tell everybody that. People look up to me. I said, dude, like I look good, but you could possibly look better. You know. So don't ever forget that. Like this, just work and push. Like you have no idea what you're capable of. Just put the time in. So the main thing is, I learned to expect the unexpected. I don't go into it expecting that if you believe you deserve to win, you're gonna win. Maybe the judges see something different. Maybe there's some other, you know, factors. We don't know, right? And I think going back to, like, for example, the outcome of the Pittsburgh and my poorly unprofessional behavior, I think it mainly resulted in that way because of all of the statements and feedback I was getting at prejudging from the fans, from social media. Like everyone had me winning, so that was making me believe like I was for sure like the winner, you know. And then when the outcome wasn't what I expected, right, you know, it was definitely a tough pill to swallow, you know. With everything in Tampa, you know, I think the athlete attitude also matters, right? I think Deontay is very humble, right? And I felt like the individual in Pittsburgh wasn't, you know? And like Deontay, for example, he also felt like it could have went either way. And I like that response, right? Compared to someone thinking that no matter what, when they show up, they're gonna win. You know, those guys you really want to beat, you know, and
you don't want to be one of them,
right?
Because otherwise everybody wants to beat you,
right?
Because you're like, you're not likable because
right.
you.
And listen, man, and some people, man, like no matter how successful I become in bodybuilding, I would never be arrogant. Yeah. I will always remain humble. Yeah. You know, and there's some people that's just not that way.
But I think also, like, you know, it's catching up with you. You know, when you pop that wheelie, when you know, stuff that you told me from your past when you were a kid, and you were kind of, you know, taking a little bit. You know, living a little bit on reckless. A little bit reckless and on your talent, and expecting and then something unexpected happens. Now it feels like you're taking that in and changing. You know.
The biggest thing is, and I preach it now. You know, we should never allow things that we have no control over to affect us. Yeah. Okay, so the outcome of a win, we have no control over. Yeah. Okay, so if it's not what maybe I think or others think, it doesn't matter. Yeah. You know, I look great, I bring the best package. You know, and that's how I live now. And it's funny because after Tampa, that was the main feedback that I got. I got so many DMs from coaches and said they was watching to see how I was gonna handle that when I came in second. And they all said, I was so proud of you, right? And one of the judges came backstage to talk to me because he believed in me, you know, and he told me, you know, some of the reasons for why it swung more his way than mine. You know, he can tell that I was disappointed, you know, but I handled myself well on stage and represented myself well.
Yeah. No, but I think, I actually think it's deeper than that. I think we can affect even stuff that we think we can't affect. And I think that if we have like an honest way of dealing with ourselves, and we do that even when we think that nobody is looking, and we keep on having that positive mental attitude, and I think we can positively affect stuff to happen that is normally could be considered out of our control, you know. That we actually send out good signals to people, so we get help instead of a knife in the back or in the side, you know, like or people poking the wrong way, or people expecting, you know, something to happen that is not so positive, you know.
So to kind of, when you said something deeper, after Tampa, I sat and I was trying to reflect on why I get so disappointed or why I get so upset when the outcome is not what I think it should be. And I sat and I kind of got a little emotional, right? And I was like, my parents named me Divine Master, right? And my father said the reason why I named you that is because you're destined for greatness, right? And literally everything that I have ever did in life, like literally everything. I was all state in Maryland and lacrosse in 2 years. When I went to the state, they gave us like a banquet. They couldn't believe that I was there with the best 45 players in the state of Maryland, only playing 2 years, right? Everything that I do, I'm great at. But I felt like I was good. And what I mean by that is that I feel like I haven't reached the success in any area that I went into that I think that I could have. Like, for example, football. A lot of people called me, got emotional that I didn't make the NFL because I was so good. And for me, it gets emotional sometimes when I come in second and I'm like, why am I not winning in no aspect of life the way that I think that I should? You know, like I'm destined for greatness, but why is it not happening? Why everything that I pick to choose to go into, you know, I'm just like, I'm right there at being the best, but just not happening. You know, so I think that that's why I get so emotional. And that's why at Tampa, I think it hit me deep. Like, I was almost done. And a lot of people told me don't give up. And I was like, it's something that they don't like about me. I don't know what it is, right? But I was like, if I keep coming in second, I'm just like,
if you think that bodybuilding is just the winning or the performance and not the mental part and not the whole package when it comes to how we behave when we are defeated or when we're second or whatever it is. I just feel right now with what you're saying, it fits very well together. Like when we understand that we're actually selling feelings or producing feelings, even when we're competing in bodybuilding, then I think we will win the whole package.
Right.
It's not about the product. It's about the feeling.
right.
So, and you can have a product, but you can have a shitty feeling, or you can have an awesome feeling and a pretty decent product, and it goes really good.
Right, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So maybe that analogy is really good to, it feels like it is good for a lot of different ways of looking at life,
Facts.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I agree wholeheartedly, and I had the physical aspect, but I was other things that I was missing.
Exactly.
And I could concur on that.
Yeah.
For example, like some of those seconds, I think I did it to myself. Now looking back, I think I did it to myself.
Exactly.
There's a few shows that I wasn't dead sitting out of 5.
Yeah.
And then I come out there and I do my routine, and you can see that I had no care in the world.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would they reward someone that don't look like you want to be there?
Yeah, and that's the short answer because that's very concrete answer. But I think it's deeper than.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot more components and factors than just.
Like deep. It's from early life and all our learning lessons.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. All of our background and experiences are totally different.
And if we let bad experience in our youth affect us as elderly, as older, it usually doesn't go so good. But if we are not letting, be burned by previous things, and it goes better,
Which is the hardest thing for most people, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's hard for people to let go of the past.
Yeah, it's easy to get bitter for certain stuff that happens in life, and we think it happens to us. And we don't have a choice. I think this is also a good thing that goes together with the no excuse out on the thing, because lately in a lot of discussion I feel like especially when people come to destination and they are beginners in the fitness, and they are so used to people taking responsibility from them, and so when they come here, no, it's all on you. If you're gonna make a life-changing stuff, it's all on you.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Wow.
Having no excuses. The responsibility is on you to improve or to deal with your life.
Facts.
And we don't. Whatever the outside world is doing, that doesn't affect us.
Right. I agree. Yeah.